In this video, we are going to learn the theoretical framework for vibrational astrology. In the previous video, in the series of videos on evidence-based practice and science, I presented some basic information about astronomy, and we need that information to understand the theoretical framework for vibrational astrology. So, to review what a theoretical framework is, a theoretical framework is a logically developed and connected set of concepts and premises developed from one or more theories that a researcher creates to scaffold a study. So it's our concepts and our premises, our assumptions to scaffold a study, to create a structure for the study. To create a theoretical framework, the researcher must define any concepts and theories that will provide the grounding of the research, unite them through logical connections, and relate these concepts to the study that is being carried out. So there's a set of assumptions. It's usually like a world of ideas that are interconnected and logically related to each other that are the assumptions for the specific research. And I give the website that I'm quoting from for this. This is a very good explanation of what a theoretical framework. And I mentioned this before, all research makes assumptions. For example, here's a practical example that we're all aware of. We may not have verbalized it this way, but we're aware of it. Systems of holistic healing often have a philosophical assumption that the human body has an innate intelligence to heal itself, that Mother Nature is enormously resourceful, and our knowledge of the mechanics of biology are very limited. These assumptions are part of the theoretical framework. We don't often say it explicitly, but many of us in astrology are also inclined to holistic healing. And, for example, chiropractors will often have signs on their walls saying that the body knows how to heal itself, free the body from the blocks, give the body the food that it was designed to take in the sunshine, fresh water. And there's an intelligence in nature to make things work. That's the philosophical assumption. Do we know that that's true? We might know it in our hearts, but we don't have data to prove it. We cannot give compelling evidence for the philosophical framework, for this theoretical framework, as opposed to modern medicine, which often puts much greater faith in their understanding of the specific chemical reactions and the ability to intervene into that with what we've learned from understanding the specific scientific principles, tends to have less emphasis on the inherent intelligence of Mother Nature to heal itself. Two different frameworks. Which framework is correct? Well, we might know in our hearts and our heads from our experiences which one is correct to us, but we don't have compelling, convincing scientific data to change anybody's mind about it. So, we can give certain evidence, we can write books, etc., but overall that's considered to be the theoretical framework. And the research is conducted within the context of that theoretical framework. So the theoretical framework sets the context and the boundaries. The theoretical framework sets boundaries for what we investigate. Holistic healers are going to look at chiropractic, massage, and other things, herbs. A modern what's sometimes called allopathic medicine might look for certain drugs, surgeries, etc. Research does not ultimately produce ultimate truths. So the point of research is not that you get an ultimate truth. It produces an understanding of how things function within the context of what we look at. So the idea of research is not that you're getting the truth. You're finding out with a big T, you're finding out what is true, what is happening within the context of what you are looking at. You only know things within the framework from which you are looking at them. We are always limited by the lens, by the perspective, or what we call the theoretical framework that we choose. Okay, So I've already said this about what different people are likely to find in medicine and in healing, depending on the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework, last sentence here at the bottom, the theoretical framework dictates the parameters of what the research investigates and what can be discovered, right? So it's very important. All research is limited by the framework in which you are operating. This is very fundamental concepts in research methodology. If your research has a theoretical framework that has been worked out in detail, that's solid, that integrates in with other kinds of knowledge, it increases our confidence in what's been discovered because it's grounded in a strong scaffolding. It's grounded in a strong philosophical perspective that has a lot of specific evidence to support it. So the discoveries made using the theoretical framework can reinforce or modify the theoretical framework, or possibly even suggest that the theoretical framework needs a massive overhaul. So if you keep doing research with a given theoretical framework and you keep getting positive results, it suggests that the theoretical framework has some usefulness. However, because the theoretical framework sets boundaries of what one observes, very often people will continue working within a particular framework, even when other theoretical frameworks show great promise and even advantages. So the theoretical framework is like, it's like the rules of a game. It sets the boundaries, conditions, and assumptions. And if you don't look outside the box that you're in, you may not realize there's another theoretical framework that works just as well or even better. Here's another good definition of a theoretical framework from ncu.edu. I give the complete reference at the bottom. To quote, theoretical frameworks provide a particular perspective or lens through which to examine a topic. There are many different lenses, such as psychological theories, social theories, organizational theories, and economic theories, which may be used to define concepts and explain phenomena. Sometimes these frameworks may come from an area outside of your immediate academic discipline. I put that in bold because that's what we do in vibrational astrology. We use ideas and concepts and models and lenses and perspectives from physics, from psychology, from spiritual philosophies, and they are adapted to the context of astrology. Using a theoretical framework for your dissertation, this is talking about people writing their PhD dissertation. So using a theoretical framework for your dissertation can help you to better analyze past events by providing a particular set of questions to ask and a particular perspective to use when examining your topic. Traditionally, PhD and applied degree research must include relevant theoretical frameworks to frame or inform every aspect of the dissertation. So that's very important. And I think in the great majority of PhD programs in most areas of any kind of science or social science, etc., require at the beginning of the dissertation reference to what theoretical frameworks are being used. And the theoretical framework is part of the evidence. There is a theoretical framework for vibrational astrology that is stunning in that it provides a detailed theory of why zodiac signs work. So there are many things in astrology that we just use, but we don't have a clear idea of why we use them. Like we use zodiac signs, they're related to the seasons. You know, sun is in Aries, it's springtime. We have some general connections and associations. We don't have a clear logic for exactly why we use zodiac signs, why houses work, why aspects work, why do secondary progressions work, why do solar directions work. They're just formulas that seem to work. So in vibrational astrology, we can provide a detailed theory, detailed logic for why all of these things work. It's simple, it's clear, and it explains, it puts into a context how all of this happens. So in vibrational astrology, we have a clear theory for why astrology works. This theoretical framework is built from a few basic principles that are consistent with ideas in physics. So I will be explaining this theoretical framework to you, and you'll see that it has ideas that are consistent with ideas in physics. From these basic principles, many details of the mathematical model for astrology emerges. This is also what happens in physics. So our theories of what people call minor aspects and midpoints and isotraps, they're all consistent. You can almost derive them from the basic principles. You have some basic principles from which all of these details emerge. I sometimes compare this to music. Western music has 12 notes in various octaves, and from those 12 notes you get all of Western music. Or from chemistry, you have a basic idea in basic chemistry of the electrons and how the electrons connect to form compounds. From some very basic principles, huge complexity develops, the complexity of the world we live in. And that's how vibrational astrology is. We don't know absolutely, but we have a firm, clear basis for why signs, houses, aspects work. And I will explain it to you. It's fairly simple. It did require understanding some astronomy, so we covered that in the previous video. We will summarize only the basics of the theoretical framework on the next slides, and details will be given later in the course. This theoretical framework is incredibly extensive. The basic principles are simple, but from that we derive lots of ideas. We derive the ideas of fire, earth, air, and water, cardinal, fixed, immutable, all kinds of things, midpoints. They all evolve out of this basic framework. It's fascinating, it's exciting, it's mysterious how Mother Nature works. So this is part of vibrational astrology. The theoretical framework is a very integral part of the system. It's not just a bunch of scientific research that seems to validate things, and as I said in a previous video, it's like firing a gun that puts holes through this wall of this seemingly impenetrable wall that prevents astrology from being scientific. That's not what's happening in vibrational astrology. We've built a whole entire integrated evidence-based system, including a strong theoretical framework. The point here is that there is more to evidence than just the results of formal controlled research studies. An elegant and detailed theoretical framework that does not contradict other ideas and sciences increases our confidence that the astrological theories are valid. VA has achieved all of this. Okay, so here is the theoretical framework for vibrational astrology. I'll probably have to continue this in another video, but let's start here. You know what? Let's start here. I was thinking about splitting it up, but let's start here. We usually make our videos about a half hour. The theoretical framework for vibrational astrology. Number one, what we're assuming in vibrational astrology is that astrological variables, remember the word variable means anything that varies. So planets go into different zodiac signs. So planets in zodiac signs is a variable. Not everybody has Mercury in Sagittarius, Your Mercury might be in Scorpio. That's a variable. It's different for different people. These things that vary in our charts, these astrological variables, they produce measurable results. So there's a lot of debate in astrology. Is it all psychological? Can we actually see the effects? Can we measure them? In vibrational astrology, we say yes, we can. In fact, we've already done it. The large body of research results in VA indicate very strongly that this is true. VA rejects the idea that astrology is only a form of divination that requires the active participation of the astrologer in order to work. So, this is an idea presented by Jeffrey Cornelius in a book called The Moment of Astrology, that astrology is actually a form of divination, like using the I Ching or tarot cards. And that's all it is. It's a form of divination. You can't validate any of it. In VA, we're saying, no, that's not true, because we've already validated it in the book, The Astrology of Bipolar Disorder, Scientific Breakthrough. we go into great detail on the body of evidence that shows that vibrational astrology actually detects measurable results. There can be results from things that aren't measurable, but we can measure the effects. We can see, for example, people that have bipolar disorder have certain planetary configurations in their chart, not as a scientifically validated level at the same level as in physics, what we call 5 sigma, but it's more likely that the information presented in the book on bipolar disorder is true than it is false. The overwhelming repetition of discoveries and other discoveries and applications with clients strongly suggests that vibrational astrology detects measurable results. As time goes on, the research improves, more details are found, more applications are found, and it gets stronger and stronger all the time. So that's one assumption. Other people have other assumptions. They may assume that astrology does not produce measurable effects. So that's an assumption. The assumptions, the theoretical framework, are reinforced by the specific details. So it's a reinforcing system. You have some premises, some assumptions, and then you see if from those assumptions you're able to develop specific details that work within that, and they do. So that's one assumption. Part of a theoretical framework, a set of assumptions. So on the next slides, we'll show some more parts of the theoretical framework for VA. And these slides summarize information that is in many hours of tutorial videos. What I'm going to show you now, you're not going to be able to follow all of it, and we don't need to understand every detail of what I'm going to explain in the next videos. This gets very intricate. I want to just introduce you to it and for you to get a feeling. To be a great vibrational astrologer, just like to be a great nurse, a great doctor, a great physical therapist, a great chiropractor, you do not need to be an expert in the theoretical framework or the research. You just need to be able to apply and use the ideas. So I'm going to introduce you to these ideas. And what we're going to do is I will continue with this detail of the theoretical framework in the next video in this series, because we're covering a lot of material. I don't want us to burn out. I'm going to jump into a new detailed area of the theoretical framework about why tropical zodiac signs work, why houses work, and how this is part of physics. And it's physics, but it's exciting, fun physics, mystically inspiring physics. So let's dedicate a separate video to this so that we can address it fresh without all this preceding information. We're at 19 minutes. Let's start a new video to dive in to the second part of the theoretical framework for vibrational astrology. This gets more involved, and let's take our time to really enjoy this. It's fascinating. Okay, let's stop here. I'll see you in the next video. God bless. Namaste.